All right, guys, welcome to our Mr. America recap. I am Sammy Jo, and I am here with Matt Storm. I think you guys, well, for the people on Matt Storm's page, I am a vodcaster, I'm a professional figure competitor, and used to be a promoter, but really right now, my job is really just to promote bodybuilding, natural bodybuilding. So that's my introduction. And Matt, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, we got to sit side by side. I am Matt Storm. I am a promoter and also was a professional athlete, retired back in 2018. Very, very much excited to see what Mark has to say about the Mr. America. I think that we have to put the word "the" in there, and I know we want to get right to it. So let's do it.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring Mark in. Let's see here.
Hey, what's going
Hey,
on, guys?
how are you?
Good to see you both.
You as
Yes.
well.
I was in shock sitting at the Mr. America, and you were both right there in the flesh, next to each other. I was like, what is happening here? What a cool thing. It's funny because that's what the Mr. America is all about, right? We want to bring everybody together from all different organizations. And, we did it in more than just the athletes. So hats off to both of you for being there. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, Sammy Joe,
Absolutely.
I don't know if you were kind of thinking the same thing, but we were sitting in the front row kind of looking at each other like, how did we get here? Do we belong here? Do we deserve to be here? But we got to see firsthand exactly what you did and how you pulled this off. So how did you feel about it, Sammy Joe?
The entire event, I felt very honored to be there, but just to see these athletes, I'm going through my videos and pictures, and it just doesn't do them justice. Like these natural athletes that showed up and showed out, incredible.
Showed up and
But with that said, I want to give a quick shout out. There was a live stream this year. You guys know how much I love live streams, and I do. I'm putting the link right now in the YouTube and in the Facebook in the comments. If you guys didn't get a chance to see the show, I highly recommend you go back and watch the replay of the live stream. The price has been reduced, so you guys can watch it for $19.99, or you can rent it for like $10. So again, it is well worth it for you guys to see. It was an incredible live stream. So, and there was live commentary. It's definitely some good watching while you're doing cardio. So I do want to give a plug for the live stream and for the crew that did that. They did an incredible job. So, okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
thank you.
Of
I
course.
haven't had a chance to watch it myself yet, but I've gotten tons of positive feedback, which is really good. And I know the team went and made it available for everybody, like you said. So you could rent it. I guess you probably know better than I do for $9.99, and you could buy it, and then you'll own it forever, which is probably the way to go because even I'm always scrambling, going back, trying to find footage from different things. So owning it is probably the way to go.
Yes, yes, especially because it's over 9 hours of footage.
Nine
So,
hours, 45 minutes, and some change.
yes,
We have
yes,
it all. You're going to get it all again.
yeah. Yep. And for the athletes that were in the show, it's such an incredible tool. But
Well, right?
let's
You go from performing on stage in front of everybody. How often do you actually get to watch yourself perform? Right? It's a great opportunity for the athletes to really go back and critique themselves. Their posing, their bodies. I mean, it's such high quality footage that I think it's actually, Sam, I'm going to say it. It's an
yeah.
invaluable tool to have. I did
You
it.
guys heard it
I did
here.
it. You heard it first here. I came to the other side, and we're going to continue to provide the live streams. Um,
Awesome.
However we could help the athletes, and especially being able to go back and critique yourself is. I don't think there's anything better.
Let me ask you, Mark. You obviously had a full production crew there. You had a three-camera system. You had all the
Four.
angles. It was made for TV. How did you pull that off, and what did that mean to the athletes? What kind of feedback did you get?
So the reason we did what we did, it was actually a 4-camera shoot that you saw, and then there was actually 3 other video cameras that you did not see that were, backstage in the expo both days. So we have 7 cameras of footage, plus somebody else brought in for us. So we're gonna have 8 cameras of footage from the weekend. So if you missed it, we're going to be putting out clips and everybody could see it, experience it. Some of the clips I saw, you could actually feel the excitement in the video, and I'm glad that I did all that because I didn't get a chance to even spend too much time in the expo this year.
Yeah.
As far as being made for TV, over since 2020, we've been televised, as with CBS Sports Network, and we want to continue to be able to put out high quality, high production value footage, right? Whether it's archival footage or it's edited down into classes, whatever that may be. These are memories that you don't want to forget, and it's nice to be able to go back and actually see that stuff. We're trying to get natural bodybuilding in front of the masses, where it belongs. Historically, especially with the Mr. America, it was one of the events that was always televised. It was on ABC's Wide World of Sports. It's been featured on NBC, now CBS. It's been on archival footage on ESPN. All the major sports networks have always covered this, have always had something to do with it, and I think it's my job to make sure that continues.
Absolutely.
When it comes to formatting, Mark, you did a really unique format, and I'm kind of curious what feedback you got. I absolutely enjoyed it. When I saw the audience, they were really engaged and really involved, and able to be there for the entire time and be present. A lot of the times people go to see these athletes that are theirs, and they get a sneak peek of other divisions, and it keeps them interested in the sport and engaged. So what was your strategy going in as far as really doing kind of an amateur pro split in that format?
A lot of thought went into how we were going to set up the format, right? None of us are really cemented into only doing, one way. So our thought process was, if we're trying to bring everybody together, what better way to do that than to get the amateurs, backstage with the pros, with the people they're looking up to. Maybe the pros could, give the amateurs some advice or encouragement or some tips before they get on stage. That was like the main driving factor in it. Second to that was we want the fans engaged. We knew we were going to be doing a live stream, so going with, formats that I've seen out there before, men first, women later, pros first, amateurs later. I think, for the live audience in attendance, you might see who you want and then leave. But with that, you may miss some really incredible physiques up there. And, the best way to show them is to try to keep everyone engaged. I thought it offered a little bit of excitement. We're going to stick with that format. That's,
kind of explain. Did you kind of explain what the format was? So it was.
So in the morning, we started out with amateur prejudging, right? Sounds pretty normal. Then we went to pro masters prejudging. When we came back, we opened up in the afternoon, essentially, right? We had a short little break with amateur awards, one class or two classes of amateur awards. And then we went into the pro open prejudging. And then as that progressed, we then started mixing in the awards from the rest of the amateurs, the pro masters. So the show ran. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Crystal Woods, she chimed in and she says the format was absolutely unprecedented and fabulous. And I think that when you're getting other athletes in the audience liking the format, means you did something right. So, Sammy Jo, I'm curious,
Yes.
when you saw the formatting, did you have a question about it, or did you know it was really going to work for this show?
I didn't know the format until it was happening. And I actually enjoyed it because I get so drawn into prejudging. Like you saw, both of us were sitting next to each other for some of it. I mean, I'm like totally focused on what's going on. I'm quiet. I'm focused. Then once they start to do the awards, I can kind of take a breath and I can talk about what I just saw. I'm still paying attention, but it's like not as intense. So for me, it was a great mental break because I got to do a little bit of both. A little bit of socializing, a little bit of chatting, and then really focusing in on the prejudging. I don't know. I enjoyed it as in the audience. I enjoyed it.
And to your question, Matt, you were asking, what kind of feedback I got. The very first person that I saw that I discussed this with was not happy with me at all, was not happy with the format. And I listened to his points, but I didn't waver. I'm glad I did what I did. And after that conversation, I walked away feeling a little, I don't know, maybe a little bit bad about what I did. And then I started hearing from athletes,
Right,
and audience. And I'm like, you know what? I did this for fans. I did it to keep the athletes together. It worked exactly how I wanted. I got the effect from the athletes that I wanted. I got the effect from the fans that I wanted. You know, one of the issues or struggles in natural bodybuilding are fans, right?
yeah,
Athletes, you know, and I know this is a hot topic, don't compete enough to build a true fan base, right? So, Sammy, you know, if you're going to go show up at an event, you might have, you know, 30,000 followers online who, you know, watch your every move and, you know, mimic your every workout and every morsel of food you eat. But when you go show up at a show, they're not there for you, right? So how do
right.
we do that? How do we get fans engaged? Well, the first thing we have to do is provide an entertaining experience to make them want to come back. So, you know, I'm happy with what I did. I'm pretty sure I'm sticking with that.
Okay. I have Robin, who won our figure masters. She said it was really genius. It kept the show flowing. Natalia, she said it was the best idea ever to mix the pros and the amateurs, which you mentioned earlier. I do think that is a. I think for the amateurs to be around the pros is genius, like she said, because they're
I love it.
inspired. They're inspired by them.
Right. You know, the amateurs are able to watch, you know, a whole different level of actual professionalism happening, right?
Right.
And the athletes that were
It's
there, the pros that were there, not only did they demonstrate, you know, fabulous professionalism, the camaraderie that they displayed, you know, through all of the divisions was remarkable. So for the amateurs to witness that, that sets something up for their future, how they should behave at a show, right? How they should interact with different people. So
yeah.
I think it was great. I'm glad people liked it. I'm glad the athletes appreciated it. Everything that we're doing, it's for the athletes, right? So now that I know that they love it, we're going with it. You know, this is all about them. It's not about me, what I want or how I want to see it happen.
Yeah.
You know, go ahead, Sammy.
No, I was just going to say there was a question. Will there be a printed program for the audience possibly next year?
So, yes, there will be a printed program next year. Yes, there was a printed program this year. However, that box is sitting on my desk in my office as my athlete speech was in 2021. So, you know, some things you end up forgetting, and that was what I forgot this year.
Well, that leads me into this question, Mark. You know, you've run this show now for 3 years, and
Right.
you know, I got a chance to be a part of it for the first year this year, and I thought it was absolutely incredible. What were some of the struggles that you went through? Because, you know, when I got in Wednesday, you talked about, you know, all of these different moving parts. Obviously, it's a bigger show with the expo, and you have this incredible venue. And for those, we'll talk about the venue if that's okay.
Yeah, of
What
course.
did it take to get there? What were some of the challenges that you ran into last minute between that Wednesday and that Saturday?
You know, going to a new listen. So when you go to a new venue, typically, right, you go there ahead of time and you visit it, and you know what you're going to do to set up your stage and your lights and your sound. When you go to Caesars Entertainment, that is all like I'm paying to have all of that done, right? So you have a brand new staff in a brand new venue with, you know, I don't know how it sounds exactly. I've been there, I've seen it, they've shown me, I've heard it. But come show day, you know, we're very particular on what we do. So, you know, just kind of managing the Caesars Entertainment staff and getting them to do what I need them to do is difficult because we've never worked together before. So, you know, after the fact, we had a meeting essentially, and we talked about what was right, what was wrong, what I didn't like, what I did like, and you know, moving forward, it's going to be much more seamless where I could show up. They know what I want now. They know what they could do for me. So it really that was really the biggest challenge, I guess, was, the new venue and new staff this year. We had some staff that, on Wednesday we found out couldn't come. A few people had COVID and a whole bunch of stuff came up. So we went there short-staffed. And, our worry was, wow, this could turn into a shit show quick. And, it was quite opposite. Everything was fantastic. And it's the planning that goes into it and the people that we have involved and the team that we put around it that make this thing run like a fine oiled machine. So I personally wanted somebody on stage, 10 a.m. the show starts. In my head, that means somebody's walking out onto that stage. I personally forgot, like, hey, I need my MC to open this thing up, right? So there was a few minute lag time where I was freaking out, even while the MC was doing his thing, saying it's 10:03. Why don't I have somebody on stage? But I guess I had to have the MC open up the show. So I think our timing was great. What we did behind the scenes, as far as knowing the times that the classes were expected to be on, wasn't perfect, but we were better than 90%. So everything, I couldn't be happier with the way the show ran. And I guess that just comes with, proper planning, right?
Yeah. So I got
let
just
me
a
ask
couple.
you this, Sammy Jo.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to ask you, there were some celebrities in the building. Michael Ahern came in with Mona, which was incredible. Huge influencer and, really a part of this. And I think about seeing Carla Dunlap, and this is before we get into the athletes. Carla Dunlap inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I see Tom Platz as a judge, which, by the way, I think so many people were impressed with the caliber of celebrities that you brought. Really kind of put the icing on the cake. Sammy Jo, did you fangirl a little bit like I did? Because I was fanboying like crazy.
Okay, yeah, like this is no secret. I think I've already told Mark and his crew this. Michael Ahern was in my dorm room, like, one of the posters. So yeah, of course, total fangirl.
Well, and to that point, something that Sam doesn't talk about very often, I'm not real sure why, Sammy Jo was the host of Jim Eat Repeat, The Journey to Mr. America, that appeared on CBS Sports Network. And she did have a chance to film with Michael Ahern in Venice, California last summer.
Very cool.
Yeah. So don't let her kid you. She's been around Mike a bunch of times.
Yeah. So I'm blushing.
You're blushing a little bit.
Yeah. So Mike Ahern is a huge supporter of the Mr. America, a huge supporter of bodybuilding. It totally makes sense to, have him there. I wanted him there. He wanted to be there. Last year he did the commentating for us on CBS Sports Network. We had him in one of the episodes of the reality series. So Mike is going to be a long-term fixture with the Mr. America. And, we absolutely love having him. We're honored to have him. So same thing with Tom Platz, moving forward, Tom's going to be very heavily involved and more out there and doing things with us. Carla, she had a fantastic time. It was super important to me to honor the first Ms. America, right? The sport's drastically changed since women entered it. And I don't think the women get enough credit for what they're doing. The women sometimes could be more of a driving force behind the sport than any of the men, right? So to not pay respect to that history would be a travesty. So her being the first Ms. America, the accomplishments that she's had, she's the only woman to ever compete in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And by looking at her this past weekend, I think she might be able to compete in the 2020s pretty soon.
I was going to say that.
Right. She's phenomenal. But yeah, so we inducted her into the Mr. America Hall of Fame. Last week, we also inducted two other people that I do have footage from that I have to get out ASAP. Don Howarth and Frank Zane were both also inducted into the Mr. America Hall of Fame. So we have some video from that. And, Eric, the trainer played an intricate role in making that happen for Don. And Michael Ahern, helped us with Frank Zane, because they're local to them, so we were able to make that happen. And like I said, we forget
Real
how we
quick,
got here.
I do want to, real quick, while we're talking about the Frank Zane, I want people to understand, go follow the Mr. America YouTube channel, because if you guys kind of missed that, it is up there on the YouTube channel where you can kind of see Michael Hearn presenting him with the achievement in the ring. And it's a really beautiful, touching moment. So there's a lot of really fun clips, and I can't even imagine how many more are going to be up there. So definitely go to the Mr. America YouTube channel.
Thanks.
Okay.
You know, and we're going to keep doing that. You know, every year, you know, we're going to be, you know, bringing up for nomination, and we're going to talk about it with, you know, with our Hall of Fame committee. And, you know, it has to make sense for us, right? Like, you don't just get into the Hall of Fame because you competed at the Mr. America or because you won the Mr. America. You know, we're looking for those stand out athletes from the past that are actively, when I say actively, I mean actively. Like Don Howarth is still training people. You know, Frank Zane is still doing posing for people. We want those people that have continued to contribute to the sport of bodybuilding and encourage that healthy lifestyle, you know, and encourage, you know, that physical culture phenomenon to continue.
Yeah.
You know, they're perfect examples of what, you know, Mr. or Ms. America should be. You know, the title doesn't make the athlete makes the title, right? So when I tell everybody, like, hey, you have a big responsibility this year, as you know, walking around as a Mr. or Ms. America, I'm not sure if they get that, but we're watching, and we're watching what they do and what they do with that title, and you know, we're hoping they all do, you know, good for, you know, our industry. We hope they do good for health. We hope they're inspiring, you know, the youth and you know, pushing that healthy physical lifestyle that's so important now.
Speaking of a Miss America, Sammy Jo and Mark, you know, Melody Farkas, she ended up winning women's bodybuilding. She said, I want to compliment the staff, expediters, and others. They were so kind and helpful. Best staff ever. When we think about some of the winners, I was looking at the classes, and Sammy Jo and I were like, 17 in pro figure, really? And then you look at bodybuilding with Meshack and those guys that they had to go up against. Man, so many incredible athletes. And a lot of people say bodybuilding is dying. I saw natural bodybuilding actually thriving. And so I'd like to speak to the athletes a little bit and get your take. What did you think of the quality of athletes? Because I saw this as 5 steps above what I normally see at a show.
You know, when these athletes come out on stage at the Mr. America, you know, we watch them work and prep and train, you know, for 3 months or 6 months, or in some cases, we watch people for an entire year preparing for this one event. And in one case, which we'll get into, this person was preparing for the past 3 years for this year's event, right? So when they come out on stage, I was a fanboy of all of them because everyone looked so damn good. All I know is I'm glad I had the seat that I had because those judges, they had their work cut out for them. They were, you know, one class was, you know, they just kept getting better. And, you know, to look back and say, you know, which class do you think was the best or had the deepest, you know, talent in it? I can't even do it. Everyone was so impressive that these are the things that make the Mr. America so iconic, right? You know, we're continually bringing out the best of the best all together for that one big event. You know, let's battle it out on stage, but also let's celebrate our sport.
Yes. Really quick, while we're talking about champions, I do want to take note that we had Dr. Jay Wright, 2-time champion, and Arias Norris, men's pro physique, 2-time champion, and Nicole Goodnow won 2 years in a row, 2 different categories.
2 different divisions.
Right.
Yeah.
But she also had the 2. So I just want to give those 3 athletes just like a huge congratulations. And, you know, their loyalty to the Mr. America, right? Like they're coming back, they're defending their titles.
Right.
Really, that's what it's about. And I hope to see all of them there next year.
Yeah. Well, how could you not defend that title, you know, and to win it 2 years in a row? You guys ready? It hasn't been done in 81 years.
Wow.
There were some reasons for it, but that's how long it's been. So these athletes on my notepad that's labeled Hall of Fame nominees, those are the names that go into things like that, right? And at some point, we hopefully we all get there, they'll be ones nominated. Like, these are huge, huge accomplishments.
I don't think we need to glaze over this either. Frankly, the gravity of this situation is an international show at this point. When you think about the countries that were represented, you had people coming in from Switzerland, Ukraine, Italy. And, it doesn't matter what language they speak. You also had 41 states represented, as well as Canada. So technically we had 5 countries and Hawaii. Right. So we think about mainland states and we think about these states. All I saw was hugs, respect. I saw the way that athletes interacted with each other. And if they made the top 3, they made the top 3. If they were third, they were still hugging number 1. Right. What does that do for you as a promoter to bring something like that in a worldwide setting together on your stage?
I honestly, Matt, I don't have feelings. I feel nothing. I'm so overwhelmed with emotion about what I've witnessed this past weekend. I'll have to get back to you on that. Like, I can't even put it into words.
No process yet. Got it.
So I just want to touch on the comments really quick because I have them coming in from Facebook and here over on YouTube. World-class stage this year. Jenna, you are officially the queen of expediting. Just so you know, just in case, over here on Facebook, but also over here on YouTube. So you're never going to be able to compete again because, it looks like they want you backstage. And then Greg Robinson, he was one of our bodybuilding pros. He said he was just so happy to be part of that class.
Greg is awesome, by the way.
He is.
Yeah.
And then just, of course, speaking of glaze, Robin, you had no lack of glaze at prejudging. We'll speak on that later, but you didn't matter. You were fabulous. So yeah, just touching the Tropicana. I mean, that whole stage setup, unreal, unbelievable, such an upgrade. So I've now been 3 years in a row, Mark, since you've taken over this show. Right. I've seen this show just get better and better and better. I can't even imagine what you have planned for next year. So you did say there was an announcement, but we're going to wait on that. Let's get into some of the highlights, because I know Matt and I had kind of talked about that earlier. What were some of the highlights that stood out for you within some of the pro classes? Oh, can I throw out a highlight?
Yeah.
Misty Weatherford winning Open and Pro Masters bikini.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing. I don't think there's a title that she doesn't have right now. I can't think of one. Absolutely amazing physique. She keeps getting better. Her posing is probably some of the best in the entire industry. It was absolutely amazing. Seeing that, that is definitely a highlight, right? Because you're not only do you win one class, you win both classes. That didn't happen, I don't think, in any other division where, somebody in Masters won in the Open. So yeah, that was really impressive there. Seeing Levi and Prince Bada and Mishak and guys like Kent Beerley on stage all together, like, those are moments that I'll never forget. It was. Did you see the pro bodybuilding hug? Did you see that? Like, there were so many great things that came out of this event that I'm going to keep that, near and dear to my heart. And I don't know if it'll ever be replicated, but given the spirit around the Mr. America and what we're trying to accomplish with it, it's most likely going to happen again.
Well, your highlight, Sammy Jo, what was your highlight as far as the athletes and kind of what you saw?
So I've seen so many of these athletes I've seen compete, and I've been following them for so long, but there were a lot of people that I had not seen in person in the men's bodybuilding. And that was mind blowing for me, just to be right there, front row, seeing these athletes that I've only heard about or seen on social media, but seeing them in real life was incredible. Obviously, Prince, Mishak, we had Corey was back looking better, bigger, better, leaner than ever.
Corey has like almost a whole new man. Like as impressive as he was last year, when he came out on stage this year, I was just, holy fuck, he killed it. He killed it on stage. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Beep. Sorry.
It's okay.
So impressive. So impressive.
Absolutely.
And you know who else? So last year we saw Scott Bargeson get his pro card at the Mr. America.
Yes.
This year he comes out on stage, as classic gets, and he gets second to Jeremiah. That kid has the brightest future ahead of him than I can remember in recent times. Like, he's going to be that athlete that everyone needs to be watching. I'm a Scott Bargeson fan. I've been a Scott Bargeson fan. Scott Bargeson's got my vote. I hope he comes back next year because the title has his name on it at some point.
He just jumped in.
Hey, Scott.
Perfect timing. I want to touch on pro physique. Pro men's physique was something that, I think he had 14 total. And, when I was looking at the top three, we had Dangerous Jay, we had Lazarus Crometti, and we had Arias Norris. And Arias, he just seems untouchable. And I know these gentlemen are going to be meeting here in a few weeks. And then once again for a final showdown this year. Right. How do you see that rivalry? I mean, that's kind of started. And you see Arias just showing up. I was talking to Sammy Jo. He looks so tight. He's got the V-taper. He's got the symmetry, the proportion, everything that you look for. And by the way, Laz came in much bigger. I've seen him for 5 years now and how he has progressed. Right. And then Dangerous Jay coming in with his, I got to tell you, the camouflage did it for me. I was a fan of all three of them.
Well, I'll tell you what. Dangerous Jay's routine, even though there's not much of a routine in men's physique, those are the things that win events like this, right? Those are the things that people remember. Those are the things that fans want to see. It was tasteful. It was classy. It expressed who he is. It doesn't get better than that.
Agreed. And I want to touch on classic figure for a second. We don't see a whole lot of that in mainstream. I think that the one piece is kind of making a comeback, so to speak. What was really the genesis for that? And how is that growing? And how do you see that kind of progressing in 2023? I'm a huge fan.
A figure, typically when figure first started, right, you had a one piece, round, and then you were in a bikini, right? Then you were in a 2-piece round. So it only makes sense to continue with that. It's such a beautiful look for the ladies. We allow, if you're pro and you want to do that, we allow, you could cross over and go into that division. We're trying to grow it. We had a much bigger classic division last year than we did this year. However, I found out the reason for that. Not everyone could get the one-piece suits made. So if anybody is looking to do that and you can't find the one-piece suit, let me know. I could direct you to a couple designers that could help you along with that. But it's such a beautiful division. I really like it. It really is a great throwback for the figure division. I would love to see every figure girl doing that also.
Agreed. I loved it. Sammy Jo, what was your take on figure overall?
So the figure open overall. I was that was a tough class for me. I had, again, I had it wrong. I have a personal friend that I knew a lot of the girls. I follow a lot of them. This is why I don't judge, by the way. I could not judge. I'm too emotionally involved in this, but I didn't have it. I didn't have
Sam, not for nothing. Does the world know that you were also on the judging panel in 2020 and how great you did there?
It was
stressed out the whole time, but did fantastic.
Stressed out. It was much easier in 2020. I've had 2 years of investing myself in this sport, and it's ruined me as a judge, at least at the Mr. America. So I didn't have the figure class right. So I'm just gonna say that. But they were all amazing, all incredible.
Yeah. You know, figure is one of those classes that I hold very close to my heart, for a variety of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody brings, you know, forget the quality, right? Everybody's top notch up there.
All of them.
In figure, you know, there's certain things you're looking for, right? You want those big round shoulders, nice round quads, that tight waist. You know, you want great V taper from the back. You know, you want to have that balance. Figure, to me, listen, before bikini came along, figure was it, right? That was the look. That was the look all of the women strived for. You know, so to get too far away from what figure should be versus what it's become in some organizations or divisions, you know, we're not looking for that overly shredded look, right? We want those nice round muscles, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We try to stick to the criteria as tight as possible, you know, and we see shows around the country that, you know, girls come in absolutely shredded, right? Like they got chiseled jaw lines and the whole bit. Figure, oh,
all right, guys, that's it. We're done.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, sorry, I got a call. But yeah, and you know, all the girls had all types of varieties of that
Mm-hmm.
to display on stage, right? So, you know, for me, it could have went so many different ways in my head, and watching it, you could make a case for any one of those girls that were in the overall.
Oh yeah.
You really, really could. And when you get to a top level show like this, I guess that's the way it should be, right? You know, it should be a hard choice. You know, it's the judges have to make those decisions. And, you know, obviously, you know, it's hard on the people that lose. It's hard for, you know, to tell the second place person, like, hey, you got second because of this, or, you know, you got fifth because of this. Like, they're all so damn good.
Yeah.
But it still has to be judged, right?
Yes. So
I'm glad I'm not at that table a lot of times. There are some classes that I wish I did judge, but figure is one of those classes that I'm glad I didn't.
Good.
And I think, you know, that was the second largest class on stage.
They had A and B.
World champions from every organization in that lineup. It doesn't get better than that. So, like I said, I want that whole lineup to be back. I want to do it all over again. And there's a few people that didn't come this year that I'd like to see on stage, but that is the division to keep watching. That is going to keep growing. I think more over than bikini. I think more than a men's physique division. I think figure is where it's at. You know, that's the most competitive female division going.
I like it. I like it. Matt, any more?
You know, there are a couple, and I'll just kind of trim it down because I know we're kind of, you know, getting closer. Mark, you really, really nailed some things this year. If you were to take a look and just kind of reflect on what happened this weekend, what do you want to carry through into 2023, and how do you want to see 2023 playing out October 7th and 8th?
Well, that's kind of open-ended. There are some things that we're planning to do, not different, upgrades to the stage that we're looking for. That's definitely not going away. We're sticking with the format, right? As you all know, you know, we've all seen it all over online, and a lot of people are talking about it. They love that format, so we're sticking with that. As far as the venue goes, and you can't get a better venue, I don't think, anywhere in the country. You know, the stage is supposedly the second best stage outside of Radio City Music Hall on the entire East Coast. So you're not getting a better venue anywhere. You're not getting better lighting anywhere. You're not getting a bigger stage. You're not getting 10, not 2 or 3, 10 full dressing rooms, right? Do you know what we had on staff, Matt? Downstairs, not only did we have, you know, our makeup artist and the tanning crew, we had a seamstress sitting in wait in case somebody's suit broke. So I don't know if you got to go down there at all or not, and go into the seamstresses area, but they were ready. Like, we're making sure these shows are flawless. We're making sure these athletes are taken care of. You know, that's the worst thing that happens. How many times you've been to a show and a girl's freaking out, needs a safety pin to make sure her suit stays on, right?
Yep.
Don't worry, we got you covered. We have a seamstress. So it's a lot of little things that go unnoticed on our end that people don't know about, that we try to keep adding in to make sure the show is smooth.
Yeah.
You know, next year, you know, we're already adding sports. I have confirmation on ready. The World Arm Wrestling League will be there. WAL. They also perform at the Arnold. They're going to be coming in. We're bringing in pole dancing. We're going to have that. We're bringing in boxing, which we're going to have. So this is going to keep growing and growing and growing. And in case, you know, people aren't aware, the Mr. America is about celebrating not only bodybuilding, but American physical culture, right? So that's why we want all these sports involved in it. The expo is already growing exponentially year over year. We were up, you know, business stuff across all parameters. We're up 226% this year. And that's getting the attention of a lot of big people. People in bodybuilding, outside of natural bodybuilding, that are talking about it, wondering about it, watching it, trying to find out about it. And, you know, so we're doing it. You know, this is it for natural bodybuilding. It's my job now to make sure it keeps getting bigger. You know, in addition to the sports and the expo, next year we're going from it was like 24,000 square foot area for the expo. I have it written down here because I was on the phone with them earlier. 83,400 square feet that is going to be wall to wall, jam packed with vendors and sports and athletes next year. Like it's just going to keep getting bigger. You know, we don't need to be the hugest, but I want to make sure it's the best.
Is hugest a word? Because if you didn't
in New
know
Jersey,
that, you just made it
is
up.
Absolutely a word. Yep. Big league, that's also a word. Big league, right? We're all familiar with that one.
All right, so I'm gonna jump in the comments just really quick.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have you know, everyone had a great time. Judging was straightforward. Live stream quality was incredible. Thank you, Glory. Well, don't thank me, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm a huge advocate for live streams. I don't care who does it. So I'm glad the athletes enjoyed it. Will there be a 50+ masters class next year?
Yeah, well, I guess I'll announce that now. Yes, there will be a 50+ masters class next year. There will not be a 60+, but it'll be 50+. That will be happening. Are we doing amateurs and pros? I think, yeah, in amateurs and pros. So right now our registration is open. We have had athletes signing up since Sunday or Monday. I forget which day. I don't even know. Some of the days blurred together. We have sponsors signing up for next year. We have payments from sponsors coming in already. You know, like, we're going to keep pushing to be better, right? Like, I'm super appreciative and so thankful that, you know, there's so much been positive feedback, but we want more. I know there's more out there. I know there's more we could do for the athletes, and we're gonna make that happen. You know, we have big plans for bodybuilding. You know, we're trying to create opportunities for the athletes. You know, right now, I'm not going to put his personal business on blast, but we do have an athlete who's being paid to compete at shows by organizations. So this is going to get to where it needs to be. And we all just need to keep working towards it. So when I heard that, I was just like, this is what it's all about, guys. This is it. You know, if you're associate yourself, I guess, with, the right things, and, you're a good moral character and you're a kick-ass athlete, there's going to be good things coming your way. We're trying to put our athletes in front of, big, huge companies, and we're trying to get those opportunities to happen.
So I guess knowing what you know now, moving into 2023, you're going to make it bigger and better. And right. I think that all three of us are either promoters or a former promoter, right? And, as I looked at your show, I was looking at seeing things that we could incorporate to what you did. And you pick it over with a fine-tooth comb. A lot of people don't realize it's actually after the show when it's the most stressful, because you've already done it. Now you got to figure out how to do it bigger and better. Right. And it sounds like you've already had that. So I don't know of any other show that has people register within a year of a show, because that's almost unheard of. So that means you're doing something right.
Right.
You've got sponsors. You've got different folks wanting to be involved from here on out. It's kind of like a ride or die deal, and they're loyal to you. Right. What would you say that, is kind of the secret to continuing to grow this? You have key people in store and in place right now. Where do you see the improvement? Would you want to grow the expo bigger? Because I know that you had to cut off registration with pros. And can you talk a little bit about how early you had to cut off registration?
Yeah. So we'll start with the expo. Yes, the expo definitely has to grow. The formula, what I'm doing with the expo isn't being done at any other expo, right? So, and I don't mind talking about this. I'll take my lumps for it. The Olympia is shrinking. They're losing money. The Arnold is shrinking. They're losing money. What's the Mr. America doing each and every year? Growing. We're up by 226%, like I said earlier. Our formula is a little bit different. We represent something different than that. Companies are more than happy to be involved with drug-free bodybuilding, right? And drug-tested bodybuilding. So we're offering that alternative and what it represents to companies. Listen, there's not a company out there that said, hey, I want to put out, a whey isolate because I want guys to drink it and then bang tren and D-balls all week. That's not what they got into the business for, right? And when we see our friends around us, dropping dead and suffering heart attacks, way too early, these companies are waking up. They're waking up. They're not, you can't be associated with that for too much longer before it affects you and your brand, right? So here we come with, the best drug testing there is, right? The most iconic title there is, in venues that are completely unmatched, bringing in world-class athletes, top-notch companies. Why wouldn't you want to support that? Why wouldn't you want to be involved in that on some level? You guys witnessed it this weekend. We had 9 or 10 different organizations all honoring those pro qualifications, each and every one of them, right? And I know people are saying, oh, well, organizations, they honor everybody's cards. Well, one, we all know that's not true, right? Everybody doesn't do that. So for this to happen at a show is absolutely incredible. And if it wasn't for the cooperation of those organizations involved, these things don't happen, right? So I know all of the organizations that participated, they want good for the sport. They want more for the athletes. They want to give the opportunities, whether they're in a position to or not. That's not my business. I don't know the inside things that go on with every organization. But come out, Jack Halverson was there. Kent Beerley was there. Michael Gayton was there. You were there, right? Talking to athletes and letting these athletes know about some of these other shows going on. That's what I want, right? There's no reason as an athlete you should only compete in your backyard, right? Because then when you come to an event like this, you get on stage, it might be lights out for you because you've only competed in your backyard and you don't know what the rest of the top quality looks like. Right. So we're bringing in the top athletes. We're paying them, decent prize money, which we'll get to in a minute also. We're just putting the right formula in place to make this great for everyone. One of the big things is, everyone knows Gold's Gym is a huge sponsor of the Mr. America right now, right? They're going to continue to be a huge sponsor. They're getting more involved in what we're doing. Gold's Gym right now, right? Like, so to sell products in Gold's Gym, you have to be approved by Gold's Gym. Well, Gold's Gym was there, and they made connections with some of the other companies that are there that will now be selling products in Gold's Gym, right? So not only are we lifting the human spirit with athletes, we're doing that with the companies that are involved with us, right? We're going to be able to push the companies upward. We want to give the companies a leg up. We want to give the sponsors a leg up. How could we help you? And that's what we're doing, right? The other side of the ball game is, well, I need you to sign a 3-year, $3 million sponsorship deal, and you can't go sponsor anybody else. Like, that's what's happening on the other side of bodybuilding right now, right? That's not what we're doing. We want to know, how could we help you? Who could we put you in front of? Do you have a commercial that you want us to put on TV for you? Do you want us to add in graphics on a class? Do you want to sponsor a class? Does a class feel, like Michael Hearn? They wanted to be involved with the Mr. America, right? They want to represent, the best natural bodybuilding has to offer. So, of course, it's fitting for them to be the pro men's bodybuilding sponsor, right? So we're trying to elevate and lift the spirit of everyone involved. We're going to keep doing that. This isn't about the bottom dollar. This isn't about profit and loss statements. This isn't about, how many people we put on stage. It's more about how could we help elevate you and what you're doing. So we're sticking with that. It's the right thing to do. It's the right side of the sport. And without the athletes, without the sponsors, these things do not happen. So why wouldn't you want to start taking care of these people better?
I agree 100%. And Sammy Jo, I'm just going to put it out there. This is my last and closing and final statement and or question. Marc Tauriello, you had sumo wrestling.
Yes.
So I'm just curious if you might have sumo wrestling for 2023. Will we see a celebrity match between Marc Tauriello and Mike O'Hearn in the sumo ring?
We can't disclose everything that we have in the works. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you this: if you missed sumo this year,
you don't want to miss it next year.
You missed a lot. You missed a lot. So, when we tell people like, hey, we have all these great things going on, they're really, really great things going on. When I say you don't want to miss this event, it's not a tagline that promoters always use, right? Hey, this one's going to be epic. Hey, this is going to be the most epic show on earth. Like, no. This is really happening. And if you saw sumo, I'm assuming you saw Filipino stick fighting also.
I was by your side. I wanted to see it. I was too enthralled with the show. I had a hard time going to the expo. So no,
listen,
I plan to see it next year.
Full contact Filipino stick fighting. Like, this is the real deal. When we're putting on a sports expo, we're putting on a sports expo.
Well, you have a
we had to have we had EMS on staff throughout the weekend because of some of the events that were going on. Like, there was no pulling off the event without having, emergency medical personnel right there.
So, Daryl DeVore, there was a separate live stream for the expo.
Yes.
It was
Sunday.
on YouTube. Yeah.
Right. On Sunday there was some stuff going on. So I believe we did strict curl and the powerlifting. So yes. I think that was, I haven't seen any of it. I saw it on my Vimeo. I know it's there, but I didn't watch any of it.
So you have, Mike Newman. He wanted to put his 2 cents in. You should have pro wrestling at the expo.
Some guys just want to really let the cat out of the bag on things, but that's okay. I can tell you this: we have plans to exponentially make this bigger and more family friendly. We're getting more people involved. We're getting more age groups involved. Well, shit, I'll throw another one out there. There's going to be the American Cornhole Association will be holding a very, very, very large tournament at the Mr. America next year also.
Okay.
So we're not stopping. We just have a lot of things to do, and we've already started, right? So we have 362 days 361 days before next year's event. And each one of those days, literally each one of those days, we're doing something for the event. I have a meeting in Sunday, 3 states away, that I have to be at. And it just has to be on a Sunday because of my schedule. But I'm doing that on a Sunday when I should be home wrestling. This event, it's
already started.
Yeah. Well, I'm ready to roll. I want it to happen next weekend. We have so much fun stuff ready to go. Like I want it to happen right now.
So we did, Glory said that the world record was set in strict curl. And I do want to say, I know that Alistair Nash broke the local record, I think the New York State record. So congratulations to him.
So, here we go. So let's jump into that real quick.
Yeah.
We talked about, and as you remember, Sam, our bodybuilders athletes, right? We spoke about that. We put, 6 athletes through, an obstacle course essentially last year to see how they would perform, right? And Jenna, the muscle Tauriello, she came away with the win,
crushed it.
right? But now you come to a sports expo like this, you have Alistair Nash, who's a bodybuilder who just set a New York State record. You have Heather Flotman, who got, I believe, 2nd in women's bodybuilding. She was doing strict curl. You have Rianne, who won Miss Figure America. She was performing in CrossFit. So
and she crushed it.
And yeah, she crushed it there. She won a whole bunch of first places over there. Like, yeah, bodybuilders are athletes and they can perform. And this was, the show to do it at. And more of them are coming. We had a plant-based Giacomo came, and a bunch of his athletes, they did bodybuilding, they did CrossFit, they did strongman, they did powerlifting. Like, they were all about it. Yes, there is a huge crossover from bodybuilding to all of these other sports. I want to keep that going.
Yes. Let's see. Okay, real quick, because there was a few things floating around. I kind of alluded to this on my IG account earlier. A few things. We all follow social media, I think the 3 of us, and we've seen some comments and some conversations come up. Did you want to address those here? I know the athletes aren't going to ask it in the comments. Thank you guys for being so politically correct. But is there anything that you've heard or seen that you might want to address here while we have everyone watching?
So I'll put it this way. I'm an open book. If anybody has questions they want to ask, anything that they'd like to address publicly or privately with me, I am 110% wide open to answer those questions. I've seen, stuff about, drug testing and drug use and people that have failed tests in the past. I've seen it all. I've heard it all. I know about it all. I have no problem talking about it. What I do have a problem with, if other athletes are talking shit about athletes that are on stage, they don't deserve to be a professional, because that's not how a professional carries themselves, right? And if they're going to have the balls to insinuate or allude to a certain person, have the balls to call these people out by name. Just do it. So if anybody has questions regarding any of that, I think, I'll address them.
Yeah.
So if you know of any questions, shoot them my way.
I do have one question. Dream Tan. Somebody seemed to think Dream Tan was not allowed and banned and shouldn't be on stage.
Right.
Not that I think it would have mattered one way or the other as far as like placings or anything along those lines.
Right. So Dream Tan is banned at the Mr. America for no other reason other than there's a few reasons. So let's go back to 2020. The first year we put the Mr. America on CBS Sports Network, I got a call from the vice president asking, why do athletes' hands look black like that? And it's because it's the Dream Tan. He goes, it looks terrible on TV. Can we cut some of this out? So how can I put you on TV if you look like a disaster?
Right.
I can't do that. Right. Like it's a bad look. That's number one. Number two, it gets on everything, right? We're in the Tropicana, getting Dream Tan, on a carpet or on a couch or on a curtain is thousands upon thousands of dollars that I would have to lay out to correct, right? So when an athlete gets on stage wearing something that we clearly said was banned, they do get points deducted. However, in this one instance, even after deducting points, it didn't make a difference.
There you have it, guys.
So I did what I said I would do. I'm not going to throw you off of stage ever. Like we have a no jewelry policy, right? But women could wear earrings and bracelets and rings. Men could wear, wedding rings and religious symbols. If you're wearing, a skull and crossbones around your neck and you're like, hey, I'm a pirate and that's my religion, who am I to stop you, right? So we have to, be careful, what we're applying it and when and how we apply it, right? So we could deduct, but if it doesn't change it, it doesn't change it.
Right,
so it's
right.
not like it wasn't something that was overlooked, that's for sure.
Good. See? It's better just to clear the air and ask the question.
Keep them coming.
Yes. Here's one. Mark, why is your head so bald? It's from your friend. That's from your friend Tim. That's from Tim.
Yeah.
Tim McDaniel.
Well, Timmy, the grass doesn't grow on a busy street, so.
So Giganati won. Somebody said that they did the gym 80 rep contest.
Who won?
Giganati won.
Frank Gigante?
Yes, Gigante.
Come on,
Gigante.
yes.
He
That
won
is
it.
amazing. Excellent.
Gigante, he has an awesome trophy. Like, the trophy must weigh like 15 pounds. It's solid. Right. Yeah, he didn't want to do it because he doesn't like to be on public display. But then the competitor in him kicked in and he just jumped in there and did it and he won.
You guys
blew him
know
away.
How many Melody Farkas did?
How many?
I think it was 201 reps.
She was a beast.
Yeah.
She is awesome.
And just for a reference, you guys, it was half of your body weight. How many reps could you do? Half of your body weight on a lap pull machine. Right. Yeah, that's incredible.
201. I was getting tired listening to them count.
And they're throwing up some fun clips if you guys aren't following them on IG.
Definitely go check out Gym 80. They, their tagline is the king of machines. They really are. It's all German engineered stuff. Like, this stuff is absolutely amazing. If you have a gym, you should definitely look into trying to get some of that. They're also doing a giveaway. Somebody's going to win that very machine that was at the expo. Did you know about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the giveaway, it
was 20 pounds. The trophy was 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Frank. I'm sorry I butchered his name. I'm terrible.
It's pretty good.
Okay. So, the other questions coming about were, the judging panel. So who was represented? I know that's always a big question. What organizations were actually represented on the judging panel, aside from, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I know we had a special guest down there who doesn't really represent any organization, which I thought was great.
So let's see. Now when you say represent, let me clear the air. I don't think there was an actual organization who said, hey, we want to send Joe Blow to represent our organization.
Right.
However, what we do have are judges that have judged in those very organizations.
Correct.
Right. So we had the OCB was represented, the WNBF was represented, the NGA was represented, the PNBA was represented, IFBB Physique America was represented, USBF was represented, and Natty Revolution. So have judges from everywhere. I think that's the most fair way to do it. There are no biases towards certain organizations. And by having 7 judges, right, you pretty much eliminate that anyway. So if you want to give your best friend first place, most likely that's going to be one of those scores that get dropped, right? The highs and the lows. So having seven judges and representing multiple federations, I think is the really best way to do it. We just got another registration in.
So yeah, Keith Holland said he registered. So
we just got the email.
Did Glory wanted to know if there was any truth to the open figure scoring placement error, 2 versus 3 or something like that. So there's some rumors going around.
There was a
with
tie
the
that
open
had
figure.
to be broken for 3rd and 4th place.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
That was it. So there's your answer, Glory. Okay. Let's see. I guess that's it for questions from any possible seeing of the scorecards.
There's like 28 times. There's like 210 pages. So I don't know how I don't know how I would go about doing that in an efficient way that makes sense. All the placings are published up on MrAmerica.com right now.
Okay.
But for me to get 210 score sheets online for everybody to see is I don't even know when I would have time to do that.
So let me ask you this. How about judges' feedback? How do you go about doing that?
So we sent all the athletes should have received an email this morning.
Okay.
I actually sent it from my car because people were asking and I haven't had a chance to do it. They received an email this morning with the judges' contact information on there.
Okay.
So you could email them, or if you know who they are, I can send them a message, but do allow some time, for those judges to get back to you. They're back to, work and lives and everything also now.
Yeah. Hey, Johnny.
One thing that I did say in my email, and I think this is, good for any athlete competing anywhere. When you ask for judges' feedback, it's always best, give them your name, your number, the class you were in, and if you have a picture, right? It just jogs their memory, right? They see, 150 people on stage, like, we want them to know exactly who they're talking about.
Absolutely. Now, when they're asking for the score sheets, these athletes want to see which judge scored them which way. I've never wanted to see that ever.
I guess I think it sounds like the most craziest thing ever.
I think it's a tough way to move on.
You've both judged, as have I, right? I've been doing this so partially the reason that I'm bald is my age, but I've been doing this for a long time. The reason the judges score in pencil is because they're constantly erasing and adjusting and doing what they do. If I put out 210 score sheets, right? Let's just play this out for a minute. I'm going to put out 210 score sheets that highs and lows are crossed off, right? There's eraser marks. There's smudge marks. The next thing that comes out is somebody changed the scores. Look at all those eraser marks.
Yeah.
That's just like, it's a disaster waiting to happen, for any athlete who didn't get first place. It's going to be totally scrutinized, and I don't know. It's something that I don't think anybody does.
Yeah, Kent says just placing. And I think that's a really good way of just kind of doing the placing. I mean, I see very few organizations who give you the exact details of every single scorecard.
Yeah, that's like asking the judge in court, like, hey, what was going through your mind when you found me guilty?
Yeah. And I know from experience, my scorecards have like all kind of like shorthand notes that probably would make no sense.
I have them.
No sense to anybody but me.
We should release those.
No, please, for the love of God.
And you've got your doodles on there and happy faces.
Yeah.
No time for that. Not the way they judge the Mr. America. There is no time for doodling.
Yeah, I don't mind addressing, a few people here and there, I have the binder out or whatever. I don't mind, letting somebody know, like, hey, you scored, 17 out of 20 perfect points, or, I can confirm that Judge 2 had you in 3rd place or 5th place. Like, if that's something I could do, I don't mind doing it. However, as like the days and the hours go by, my dining room does have to start resembling a dining room again.
Yeah, so just real quick, I do see some figure girls in here watching. I made a comment that I didn't have pro figure, didn't go the way I thought it would, but it's been brought to my knowledge from several people that we tend to sometimes judge physiques that are similar to ours, which I probably, so I favored the physique, obviously, that was more similar to back in the day when I was stage ready, that favored like my physique. So, and I wasn't a judge, and I wasn't doing criteria, and I didn't have my judge's hat on. I was literally just a fan, like many of the people, just going through doing, like 1, 2, 3, like doing my own judging. So my opinion doesn't even matter. Just wanted to throw that out there because I know I said something earlier, and I didn't want that to upset anybody. Yeah. I just tend to lean towards, like last year, I loved Marianne Cook. her physique kind of favors something that was similar to mine, you know, that type of thing. So
right. Well, and you know, most judges do that, and maybe not most, but I do see that in shows, and when you go back and look at scoring, like sometimes it does reflect. It absolutely does. Which again is why there's 7 judges, right? From different organizations, different walks of life, right. So you know, we do everything we possibly could, as does every other, you know, bodybuilding event out there, to eliminate as much of that as possible.
Yes. Yeah. No, definitely. I think all in all, judging panels are very, very, very fair.
Yeah, I haven't. I honestly.
There's
Listen, I've been to shows with clients, and you know, some people know who some of my clients are and everything. And I've left shows in such a bad mood that I would literally lose sleep for days over the outcome of a show because I just didn't see it that way, right? But it is what it is. It's a subjective sport. So the only thing we could do is say, okay, well, this is who won. What do I need to do to maybe look more like that? That might not always be the answer, but that's how I attack it. Like, okay, well, here are the people that are placed ahead of me or ahead of my clients. What did they have that I didn't, right? And you have to really take that deep look inside, and which is very hard to do, especially when you're looking at yourself or even your coach is looking at you, right? Because we all think our clients are the best, you know, in the world.
Absolutely.
But you really have to look and say, okay, well, this person had, you know, a better this or a better that, you know, so how do you make those adjustments moving forward, right? So let's use Meshack, for example. I saw some people, you know, raving about how full his chest was. And there was people that I saw on stage that looked like they never even did a push-up. Like, not that it was that bad, but compared to him, they needed to work on their chest, right? So if I was that athlete or their coach, you'd be like, well, this is what won. He came in, you know, nice and full, big, you know, full round muscle bellies. Like, this is what we need to work towards because that's the desired look. So, you know, it's a no-brainer from an outside perspective, but when you're involved in it directly as an athlete or a coach, you know, it's very hard to see that sometimes.
And here's the other slippery slope to that too. You know, a lot of different organizations have different criteria. So
I'd like to stop you right there. Hang on.
Go ahead. Go.
The criteria amongst 8 or 9 different organizations that we researched, both natural and non-tested, both in the United States and in Europe, the criteria is almost identical verbatim. However, when you show up to a show, what's being awarded in different organizations or different shows, it's completely different. But the criteria on paper, verbatim, is almost identical.
Well, that makes me feel even better.
Yeah.
I just feel like the interpretation, and if I want to go one step further, you know, a lot of times when they say tight, no striations, little striation here and there, you know, we have to all be on the same page. So you could have a judge from one organization that holds to that criteria in a different way, and then another judge who holds it in a different way. So that's really where I was going with that, because the criteria, you're right. Bikini is bikini. It's not going to change whether you go to ANBF or, you know, PNBA. You're looking at about the same thing. It's about the interpretation and the subjectivity of what the judge is seeing and how they interpret that, and also who shows up. You could fit the criteria, but man, when you got 4 or 5 people who also fit it, now you're getting down to the nitty gritty and the dirty details and trying to find the least bit to try and differentiate where people fall in line.
What happens next year if the pro bikini class, 24 girls, all come in at 24% body fat? Somebody still has to win, right? So will you then look at that and be like, huh, that's what the Mr. America wants. I got to go eat more. No. To your point is, yes, part of it is you have to judge what's on stage, what's in front of you, correct? And it's who meets that criteria the best. And if that was the case, 24 girls come in at 24% body fat, yeah, somebody's still going to fit that criteria better than somebody else. But that doesn't mean that's also the desired look. So I think reading the criteria, studying the criteria, and even possibly asking, you know, promoters or you know, heads of organizations, hey, can you show me an example of what you feel best fits the criteria in a picture, not in your words, but in a picture. And then as an athlete, then ask, well, why don't you think I fit that criteria? Right? The questions that athletes should always ask is not what do I need to work on, right? All the athletes right now all want feedback, all want to know, what do I need to work on? Well, in the class on Sunday or Saturday, you needed to have this better. But the class next Saturday, you might not need that particular part to be better. So the question is, why did you have me in 7th place and not 3rd place? Why did you, put me on the end of the lineup? What didn't you like, or how didn't I fit the criteria for you? Right? So I think it's very, very important for the athletes to really, really read the criteria, understand the criteria, and what that really looks like. Not just look at pictures and say, Joe Smith keeps winning this physique show, in Missouri. That's what I need to look like, because Joe Smith in Missouri just might be the closest to the criteria than anyone else. So
that leads me to my next point. And you hit it right on the head. I think different organizations have different caliber of athletes.
Absolutely.
So if you're going up against the same athletes in the same organization, you have a unique complexity in the fact that you've got all these organizations coming, and they might go take home a world championship in their organization. But when they get to a Mr. America stage, you have to understand you're looking at the best of every organization, not just one. And that's where I wanted to go.
Well, right. And that's, one of the things that, I always want to address, and I don't do a lot of these public things a lot. When you come to the Mr. America, you're going against the best athletes from all of the other organizations, right? So just say you compete in XYZ organization, right? And you're winning your local show and your regional show and your state championship, and then their national championship, and then their world championship. You're over the moon ecstatic, as you should be. However, like you said, different organizations have different calibers of athletes, right? The WNBF Worlds bodybuilders look way different at that event than, XYZ looks in Germany or in Yugoslavia. Like, the athletes also dictate what happens. So again, you got to know the criteria. You have to know what you're really up against. You're not competing in your own backyard anymore, right? This is, for the lack of a better term, this is the big leagues. This isn't your backyard garden variety local organizational show. This is the big one, right? At the big one, you have to bring your absolute best, and then somebody gets awarded for that.
I have a quick question. So speaking of that and bringing your best, so you did minimums, right? So you opened registration last year at the beginning of the year, and when the classes were full, you shut them. So my question is, and no offense to anybody, but I did see a few physiques up there where I was like, wow, man, it kind of stinks that they may have taken the place of someone else, right? I felt like maybe there were some other physiques around the country that could have had an opportunity to be up there. So would you ever think about making it an invitation only?
2020 was an invite only, which totally didn't work because most of the country was shut down while we ran the show, right? So I would think about it. However, this is another thing that, I'd like to discuss. Mm-hmm. We had 25 pros pull out of the show. 25. For a variety of reasons, right? People get sick or injured, or there's family emergencies and medical things, right? Well, those athletes also held places.
Hey guys, keep the comments nice, guys. Keep the comments nice. Keep some of your opinions to yourself, like bad ones.
Well, no, let's share those. We can share.
Oh, no, it's all politics. No, it's not.
Can't be political if you've got multiple organizations. So go ahead.
Yeah. So where I was going with, as far as the invite goes, when we're talking with a sponsor, right? They ask me, well, we're interested in sponsoring, say, this class, or we want to be the title sponsor. How many athletes do you expect? And I tell them, we expect, X amount of athletes in this division or that division, or that many pros or that many amateurs. I have to deliver that.
Right.
So if I'm waiting on people to respond to invitations, I'm not going to chase people down. If you don't respond to your invitation within, 30 days or whatever, like, you're going to get crossed off the list, and I'm going to move on. So doing it the way I do, by putting that hard cap on classes, which I'll address, because those caps get exceeded because other classes might be a little bit less, or,
Gotcha.
I didn't check my emails. And then when I did, there was like, oh shit, we went over by 6. Like, that's going to happen too. But I think by putting a cap on the class, you now bring out the best athletes who know, I'm doing that show, I'm prepping for that show, and I'm going to show up at that show. If I went to invite only, these athletes would have to be contracted, right? You have to be contracted. That's it. You have to sign a contract. You agree to come. If you don't come, I guess there would be some sort of, I don't know, something. But, that's not where we're looking to go either. We want to make this, again, all inclusive.
So guys, get your registrations in, is what he's saying.
Right? If you want to do the show, you have to get your registration in.
Don't get shut out by someone who just wants to be on the Mr. America stage just to say they were there.
Yeah, I mean, go sign up. Like, last year by January, I think, I don't know, it was like 85. It was like we were ready to roll in January.
Yeah.
With the total number of athletes, and it's very, very important that we do that. So right now we're running discount registration for pros and amateurs, but that only lasts till December 31st, because come January, well, not the 1st, but January 2nd, when I'm then, back on the phone and in meetings with sponsors and people that want to, back the show and be involved in the show, I have to give them numbers, right? If you have, well, there's 6 people registered, guess what? Guess how much your prize money is going to be next year?
$6.
It's not going to be good. The future, as far as prize money goes for the Mr. America, is going to be more. We're looking to more than double what we're doing now. I think we were at like 40 total or something this year. We're pushing and working for 6 figures for next year. Like, athletes got to get paid. Pros have to get paid.
Love it.
But you got to be in the show, right? Like, I can't present that to a sponsor if they're not.
Yeah. So I just want to back it up just a little bit. I didn't want Glory to think I missed her. So is there a tabulator that the judges?
Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah.
She literally sat there and just adds numbers all day.
Yep. Okay. Just want to get that out. And Ken Beerley, I think he might have just jumped in. There is going to be a 50 plus.
Yep.
Masters.
For guys just like him.
For guys just like Ken.
Oh, Kent's been on here a while. I see all his comments.
He must be on yours. Okay.
He's on mine. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, what do you think about this, Mark? Obviously, invite only is a little different. What about the top 5 get an automatic qualification or invite? Have you thought about going hybrid, or is it just completely open?
Do I say it now? Is now the time to say it?
I don't know. Am I leading you in?
To talk about that just yet.
Okay.
We do have some plans in the works for returning winners. So yeah, there's something in the works.
We're way ahead of the game, aren't we?
Yeah, you guys are good.
Oh man!
But like I said, I'm an open book, and I don't mind talking about all this stuff. And like I said, there are plans in the works to honor returning winners. There's talks and plans in eliminating at some point registration fees for all pros. So those are the things that I'm working on. Because like I said, pros need to be treated like pros no matter where you go. Matt, you and I have talked at length about this. I'd love, every organization to literally honor a membership card. And not by saying, oh, you're a pro in XYZ. Sure, you could buy our pro card. I want to see the day where I show up with, ABC pro card at XYZ organization. And like, oh, you're good. Go ahead and register. That's what I want. That's where this needs to be going. These cards are costing too much money. It's a burden on the athletes. I get it though. It's business, right? And that's how these organizations keep their businesses going. I understand that, but why should pros be footing the bills of each other? Right?
Exactly.
Why should Susie be paying for Larry's prize money when she's a pro? Why have an organization? Let everybody just put their money in a pot, and do, a little rock, scissors, paper, and whoever wins gets the money and goes home. Why even show up on stage?
Couldn't have said it better. In the non-sanctioned world, it just doesn't compute because, we don't have that organizational support when it comes to that membership, but also we have the benefit of pulling. So if there's some unification to that and some movement in that direction, I think the sport in general is going to see better quality retention of athletes year in, year out, instead of just bleeding them dry. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. One of the things that I do though, which I am absolutely hell-bent on it, every single pro athlete absolutely must have a valid pro card current with a natural bodybuilding organization, because we want to support those organizations. I don't want to take anything from anybody, right? So if that organization says you have to have a pro card, well, you're not going to get on my stage without it. You better call them, figure it out, send them a check, money order, MoneyGram, whatever you have to do, but buy your pro card, and it has to be valid to step on stage. That's what I feel like I could do to, again, support those organizations, right? So that's super important that, when you show up at check-in, you have a valid pro card.
Sammy Jo, take it away.
Yeah. So 60 plus, that's not going to happen next year, Kent Beerley, but hang in there.
So let's talk about that. So if we go, 40 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus, the Mr. America is now, every Tom, Dick, and Harry can walk around with the Mr. America title. Absolutely not. Hell no. It's too important. It's too prestigious. It's too iconic. That'll never happen.
Well, let's look at Matt. Was it Marc Tauriello? He won the Masters bodybuilding, but then he placed top 5 in the Open Pro bodybuilding.
Right.
Wow. And that was a deep lineup. So I guess want to huge congratulations to him.
A lot of these natural bodybuilders, right? Like, you're not starting to peak until your late 30s or 40s anyway.
Yeah.
Right? We see guys, Philip Ricardo's in his 50s. Kent Beerley is almost 60. Like, these guys are holding their own. So is it really necessary to have another age bracket? Is it really, truly necessary when you want to compete for one of the most prestigious titles there is? It should be hard to earn. It shouldn't be something that's easy where anybody could just show up and walk away with that. You have to earn it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Farizi's another one. Just keeps getting better every year.
Every year since 2020. Like, this guy's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Thanks, Greg. I almost left him out. So, yeah, you guys, this was amazing. So much information, so exciting. Like I said, we didn't jump really into like the whole athletes, but I really just wanted to hear everything from Marc, from your perspective as a promoter, kind of all the inside stuff, address some of the concerns that athletes had, which is squashed, and that's great. I love that there's an open door policy and nobody's going to get blocked or canceled.
No, not here.
So you guys, if you ever do have anything or a situation, reach out to Marc, Jenna.
Yeah, reach out to me directly. I take calls and texts and emails. He's a
caller. Nope, doesn't text. He's a caller. He's a caller.
We talked about that.
Wow.
On that note, Marc, I have to give you a compliment, because I remember about 6 months ago when we first met, I was kind of curious, and I sent you a message. Within 5 minutes, I get a call from this guy. I didn't expect a call. And, we got to talking, and then we hit it off right away. So, yes, you are a caller. I'm a caller. Sammy Jo's a texter. We get it. But I have to say, when it comes to athlete care, first-class promotion, you are the guy to make sure that happens. And that's one of the reasons why so many people – I saw you on the phone. I saw you taking care of business, doing the behind-the-scenes stuff during the show to make sure that the show ran as it needed to go.
So those
it's great.
Things that are important. We have to do it. We got to do it.
And I just wanted to give you that compliment.
Yeah, I was calling athletes. How about this, Matt? I was calling athletes that they couldn't find backstage. I'm going through like my athlete, list, trying to find phone numbers and calling them like, hey, your class is going to be on in about 35 minutes. You might want to get here. I'm going to go that extra mile. Like, that's just me.
And by the way, not once did I ever see you lose your cool. And I think that's kind of part of, what you talked about your career. There were times where I would have been like, okay, dude, that's it for me. I'm out. But you actually just stuck in. You were in the pocket the whole time.
Yeah.
And you were always asking. That's the one thing I mentioned. And Sammy Jo, I'll close with this. You said, you good? You got everything you need? I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you need? Don't ask me. I'm just a bystander. I'm a participant in watching. That's all I'm here for.
Yeah, Matt, not only do you have to take care of the athletes, like you have to take care of the guests and the fans and the audience, right? Like you're sitting there, if you're so in depth, watching the show, you might be like, holy shit, I haven't had anything to drink in 4 hours. Can you grab me a bottle of water if you see some? Yeah, I'm gonna come throw you a bottle of water. That's just me. Sammy was at one of my shows that I was promoting, and she probably witnessed something that she's never witnessed before. We took a break and I fed the entire audience. We had a fucking pizza party. Everybody's eating pizza. You're in Jersey, you're coming to the show, you're eating pizza. On me, have a blast.
Well, hang on a second. And let's talk about that water thing, because I put 6 bottles of water in your seat. Somebody stole all of them, and I had to go steal them from the expo and get them over to you. So who's that thief? I want to know.
I was trying to drink. I don't think I had anything to drink until Sunday night.
Who needs water? Who needs water when there's cans of rain everywhere?
2 cases of rain.
Who needs water?
Yeah, I think we had Rain is a huge supporter. Denny Hester, we even put Denny Hester in our reality show last year. Rain is a huge supporter of ours, and they always take care of us. Every single athlete got a can of Rain. When I say every single athlete that showed up and competed in any other sport also got Rain. So I think we had something like 676 cans or some crazy number, like absolutely insane. But we do our best to try to take care of everybody.
Yeah. Well, Mark, I don't know if I even told you this, but I'm super proud of everything that you did. I was extremely impressed, and I went in there with very, critical eyes. I was going to look at everything comb through everything with a fine-tooth comb and try to find things that I could, not to critique you, but just to find things that I could tell you what could be better, but nothing. A few little things, but it was just an extremely amazing show. I had a great time, and I actually got to go as a fan this year, which I've never been able to do. Right. And it was awesome. I loved the format. Again, for me, I'm a social butterfly, so I loved that I could lock in, pay attention, and then I could kind of let off the gas, do a little socializing, and then lock back in the way that was kind of like prejudging awards. So it worked out. I loved it, and I'm glad you guys
had a good time. I hope you guys come back, both of you, next year.
I'm in.
You guys are welcome. Everybody from every organization is welcome. You don't have to pay for a ticket. Call me. Let me know you're coming. Your name's going to be on the list.
And go as a fan. Go as a fan, guys. If you're not competing, show up and support.
And my judges table is open, right? So if there's an organization out there that wants to have one of their judges, call me up. Let's make it happen. I want everybody to have a seat at the literal and proverbial table when it comes to this event. It's that important to have everybody there.
Yeah.
Well, I can say this: I will be there next year. I wish we could book tickets a year in advance, but
but you could register now. You could register if you wanted to compete.
Oh man, this old body can't handle it. I saw some amazing masters, and I have to say they are a cut above. But Mark, I truly respect what you did and also what you're doing. And the fact is, I'm excited to work with you and see what you can do, for 2023 and whatever support you need, you got. So just want to thank you for the time.
I greatly appreciate that. And, I'm open to help and suggestions, how I could keep making this better, what I could improve on, whether it's from, a president of an organization who was in his or her living room, watching the show, what they think I could have did better or different.
They were watching.
I know the athletes, wherever that comes from, I want to provide the best show for the athletes, for the fans, for the sponsors, for everybody involved. That's what I want. I'm not going to stop until we're there and beyond. And, it's a never ending, it's a moving goalpost that is, we're going to keep chasing after.
Yeah. It's growing every year. I don't expect anything less. And again, thanks to all the athletes that participated this year, and for everybody that jumped in on the live and these live chats. Like, you guys, this is on like 5 or 6 different platforms, and I'm only looking at 2. So thank you so much for everyone that tuned in. And we will go back and manage the comments. If there's any questions we missed, I told Mark this at the beginning. You're going to have to go through these pages and pick up some of the questions and comments that we might have missed.
You know, and like I said, people could reach out to me directly, you know, either, you know, through the Mr. America Instagram, through, you know, my gym's Instagram, Extreme Gym NJ, you know, Facebook Messenger, you know, whatever. I'm available, and I will get back to you.
Yeah, and make sure you guys...
And how can we get the live stream?
Yeah, pick up the live stream. It's in the comments.
MrAmerica.com, baby.
Yes. And
athlete registration is also at MrAmerica.com, and that is open and active. People are signing up, and next year is going to even be better.
Yeah, don't sit on it, guys, because those classes fill up.
Oh, Matt, you know, real quick, you did mention, you know, how we had the cutoff, and when did I cut off certain classes? Pro men's bodybuilding, I think, was in February. Pro bikini, that was like super early also. So like it was like 10 months out.
Wow.
Yeah, 9 months out. Like it filled up quick. So, you know, those pro classes, you know, if you're going to compete, you know, let us know your intentions and just get your registration in, you know.
Don't be shocked if it's even sooner this year.
Right? So, you know, if you decide like, hey, I want to throw in a master's class later, we'll most likely be able to accommodate that. But because you're already there, right? We're going to, again, take care of your needs.
Yeah. I was just going to say, don't be shocked if it's even sooner cutoff, because you've got I almost said a bad word. You got a lot of momentum going into 2023, and it's only going to get bigger and better from here. So if you're sitting on the fence, you might miss out. And that's the one thing that I can see.
Yeah. Well, keep your eyes peeled over the next couple of months. You know, we're going to be announcing things as it comes up, and, you know, sharing some some information about some signed contracts that we have in the works, and, you know, different things that we're going to be doing. So just, you know, pay attention to that. It's going to be huge.
All right. That's it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mark,
guys, for having me on. I greatly appreciate it.
Matt, Storm, and anything I can do to help moving forward. If you want me to drop any exclusive announcements, you know, I'm always here to help, and or collab with Matt Storm. This was super fun.
Excellent. Yeah, this was a cool platform. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Sammy Jo.
Yes. Bye, everybody.